YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark. I'm here bright and early on a Saturday morning. And before we get into the video, I just want to say, because it is Saturday morning, it's the day before Mother's Day. I just want to say that your mom is more than likely an excellent person. She probably spent hours and hours in labor with you, which, as men, we will never know what that's like. And if you are a woman or a mother, congratulations to you. Happy Mother's Day. I just want to let you know you're doing a great job. And for the people out there that are listening, that may be thinking, oh, it's just a regular old day, I'll just kind of skip past it. Your mother definitely deserves for you to, at the very least, acknowledge that it's Mother's Day, give her a hug, kiss, tell her you love her, be appreciative of the fact that you do only indeed have one mother. And more than likely, she spent a lot of time when you were a baby wiping snotty noses and changing diapers and doing a lot of stuff like that. And even if you're someone who doesn't necessarily have the financial means to really, spoil your mother and buy her lots of stuff and do all of that, moms are very simple people. A lot of times they're just happy with, even if it's a handmade card, making them breakfast, something. So if your mom is still around, I definitely recommend showing your love and appreciation for her, because they're great people. And like I said, we only get one. So you definitely want to be thoughtful and appreciative of them on Mother's Day. So now let's get into the video. With the last couple of videos, because I've done 2 videos now kind of talking about Necros, and as anybody who's not new to the channel knows, and if you are new to the channel, anything that I've learned about Necros has been kind of against my will. Even as someone who creates content, I'm not necessarily really into watching a lot of other content creators. I have a handful that I do kind of watch when I want to know about particular things, but for the most part, most of the stuff that I learned about people like Necros or Necros himself has been against my will. It's been stuff that I've seen on Twitter, Reddit, in my own Discord, where people just have continued to bring it up, which is kind of what got me into talking about this to begin with. I wouldn't even have known, honestly, without all of that he was doing the bronze to celestial healer run that he's doing, the solo queue, I have to say, too, as well. And, there's been a lot of things that people have went back and forth on. But the other day, when I saw that people were constantly just in the Discord talking about the fact that he was starting to get to a point where he was struggling, I think it was right around the time when he got to Grandmaster, they were saying, oh, well, he's starting to struggle. He's finally getting to this point where he's starting to kind of see all the things that healers are going through. But that actually wasn't what stood out to me and the reason why I'm making this video. So I'll get to that in a minute, but I just want to say that I think that this has been a humbling experience for him. Obviously, because he is such a good player and he's a top 500 player. Some people even say that he's a pro player. That's basically their kind of opinion, because I don't think that he's ever played on any type of pro team, and I think it's kind of up to the viewer, the viewer, to kind of dictate if they believe that he is a pro player or he's just a really good normal player, whatever. I really don't feel like that. That's the point here. The point that I am making, though, is that situations that people have complained about, like such as getting dived and not really being able to deal with it immediately, like Black Panther, Spider-Man's Iron Fist ganging up on you, versus when you are getting dived, kind of like in a 1v1 situation. And I just want to say that it's went both ways. I've seen clips where he has been sitting there putting people to sleep, freezing people, giving out back shots and stuff prior to deleting somebody, just kind of embarrassing them. And then I've also seen times where, and these are all compilations that people have made, depending on what side they're on, where he's gotten one-shotted by Black Panthers, or it's not really one-shotted, but it seems that way, because you pretty much, when you're going against a good Black Panther, I don't even know if you want to call it going against, when really it happens in at light speed, where he dashes across your screen, and before you can even perceive it, you're gone. Right. And those are like top 1% Black Panthers. But once you start getting up there in those really high ranks, that's when you're going to start running into those people. And it's completely different when you're going through the lower ranks, your bronze, silver, gold and stuff. And you're not going to see the same type of gameplay, obviously, that you're going to see at the higher ranks. That's what separates it. So that is something that I did notice. And once he finished with his run, he did go on to say that while he does think that, he still thinks that the support role is the easiest, in the regard that you're basically refilling health bars a lot of times. That's what you're doing. And basically anyone can sit there and refill health bars, but you do have a lot of influence over the game, when it comes to like your ultimates and stuff like that. And the fact that if you're not healing your teammates, or you're not able to heal your teammates, that people are going to lose the game. It's just simple as that. So he's still kind of sticking to the it's the easiest role, but he does now have a newfound respect for the different things that support players have to go through. And there was another thing that he had said too in regards to the fact that when you are healing bad teammates and you're getting bad teammates, that there's nothing that you can really do about that. Like if you're healing a bad teammate and they're going against someone who is much better than them on the same role or character, whatever, they're going to get diffed, and then that there's just nothing that you are really going to be able to do about it, because unfortunately a healer is not capable, nor is it designed to carry a match by itself. Once you start getting into the higher ranks, lower ranks, you can see that he breezed through and he was able to carry his teams. I mean, he got more MVPs than he did losses and stuff. So I'm at least glad that from him playing another role, he was able to see kind of, the pitfalls and the different experiences that supports go through, and he seems like he's kind of grown a little bit in that regard. So I would say cut him some slack when it comes to that. Now, is the fact that people are so upset with him and still hating on him, is that completely unwarranted? Did he not kind of put this, what a lot of people are calling rage bait, out there for people to feel the way that they feel? Yes, but I do feel that people are still trying to diminish what he's done by now saying, originally they were saying, well, he's never played a support. And I bet if he did play a support, he wouldn't be able to get here, wouldn't be able to get there. Well, he played support and he got to Celestial. Now people are saying, well, he should get to the top 100. Well, come on, stop moving the field goal, because that's not what you would want people to do to you if the shoe was on the other foot. If you sat here and said that you could do this, you could get to Celestial as a DPS and you're usually a support main, and then you did that, I would congratulate you too and tell you great job. And the thing is that ultimately I think the community could use more people that actually, instead of making it this thing where I'm better than you, I'm only DPS, or I'm better than you, I'm only a tank, or whatever. Not that I really hear that from tank players a lot. They're usually kind of chill for the most part. Obviously, no role is a monolith, so you can't say one role only acts one way or acts another. But still, though, I think if more people took the time to do different roles, that they would actually see that every role has things that make it hard, especially when you have to do all these things on your own and your team is not assisting you. So I do think that that's really important for the community, especially somebody like myself who's a flex player. I have learned to respect every role and kind of see how every role is treated, and what are the things you should do in those roles and what are the things you shouldn't do. So it makes my job easier whenever I'm playing any other role to understand what to do. For example, I understand what it's like when supports are getting dived and they have zero help, and you're like, where are my heals at? Well, your heals are getting, dove in the background. They're on their way back to the spawn room. So maybe just turn around and help them sometimes. At least kind of let your presence be known. That way people don't feel as comfortable just diving you over and over again. Same exact thing when you're DPS. I've understood that you can't get healed through walls. So if I'm on the other side of the map or inside of a building and my supports are outside, just go outside for a moment and then they will heal you if possible. Now, sometimes not every role is perfect. Sometimes you get healers that focus on tanks. Sometimes you get DPS that they feel like they're just ripping and running, so they can just do whatever they want, and the healers are supposed to just follow them all the time. So I understand that. Same thing with being a tank. I've had to learn to not get too eager. I do that a lot with Thor. I push up. I'm getting a lot of eliminations, but I'm forgetting the fact that my team is on the point and they don't feel the need to push up past a certain point. So I have to kind of come back a little bit, get that healing, and then I can push up a little bit more. And there's a little bit of a balance to it. But the reason that I wanted to make this video to begin with was because actually when I was watching the Necros stream, the one from a couple of days ago where people were saying that he was hard stuck in Grandmaster, which I find funny for a lot of people to make fun of that when a lot of us haven't even gotten to Grandmaster yet, myself included. I've peaked at Plat 1 right there where I was about to rank up, and usually on that rank up game, that's where the game decides to throw me some of the worst teammates ever in history. And I still feel like once I get better in the future, I'll be able to kind of counter that and carry a little bit more to get to the next rank. But still, nonetheless, though, that's as far as I've gotten. So I'm not going to sit here and put someone down that I haven't even gotten to their peak or anything like that. So especially when they're doing on a role that they don't normally play on. So the thing is, though, is that when I was watching it, just to kind of get an idea of what people were talking about and see for myself, I'm not going to lie, it was like an 11-hour stream. So I jumped up a few hours initially. It wasn't halfway, but it was a little bit before that. And it was right around, for anybody who's interested, it was right around like the 3 hour and 30 mark. That's when I started to notice it. Now, he could have been talking about these things prior to that or after that. But like I said, I'm a busy guy, so I didn't have enough time to sit down and watch an 11-hour stream. I'm not doing all that. But it doesn't matter, because where I clicked at, which was right around the 3 hour and 30 mark, that's when I started to hear him talk about EOMM. Now, when I first heard him talk about it, I assumed that he was just joking and he was just saying that to his chat, because he is like a very sarcastic person and does a lot of what people refer to as rage bait. But there's a big difference between him being sarcastic or saying something ironically or rage baiting people versus him genuinely, I can see the frustration. And it's just like anytime that I've made a video about EOMM before, where you could see that it was happening to him in real time. Now, EOMM can affect you, or it could have been affecting him at earlier ranks. But the thing is that he's good enough to where he was able to carry and put them in his backpack and say, hey, I don't care how bad my teammates are, I'm going to be able to defeat the enemy and keep it pushing. Whereas once you get up to a certain point, whatever kind of like your ceiling is, skill wise, where you're starting to be put up against people that know all the tricks and all the different things that you're going to do, that's when he started to really fully experience it and feel it. And like I said, around that 3 hour and 30 mark, I don't know how many he had been losing before that. I just know that he had showed his win loss at some point in time, like the actual screen where you can see all the matches and the information and stuff. And it looked like mine, basically, where you go on these long winning streaks, then you go on these long losing streaks. And he was talking about the fact that he had already deranked, because I think at this point he had actually gotten up to was it Celestial, whatever comes after Grandmaster. And he was talking about the fact that he was like, oh, I'm about to derank back down to GM or whatever the case is. And, this is something that I haven't really heard anyone of his caliber talk about. Most content creators they're very kind of like weird when it comes to talking about EOMM. And I think that that's because it's just like with skill-based matchmaking. When it first became a thing and people, and not in this game, we're talking about like years ago in Call of Duty, when people first started bringing this up, they didn't really want to talk about it, because I think that a lot of content creators are afraid that if they talk about things that are kind of like uncomfortable with the game and they don't make it out to be this thing where it's just, oh, anybody could do this and I'm going to show you how you can do it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that that's not the case and that it can't be done. But the point that I am making is that when people, I just personally believe that they think that if they bring up stuff like this that is an uncomfortable topic, that it's going to like deter people from wanting to play the game, therefore cutting into like their audience, and they'll have to play something else which they don't want to do, and maybe they're afraid that if they do play something else, people won't follow them. They're only there because of the content that they're making, and that I could make a whole separate video about how a lot of these content creators kind of like latch onto one game, and they that becomes their life, so they have to kind of protect it at all costs and make it seem like it's everyone else's problem. But when you catch these candid moments, like where someone is doing an 11-hour stream and they have people constantly just flaming them in the chat, because that's the thing, is that people wanted to see Necros fail. The support community didn't want him to succeed, because obviously that's going to make it seem like, yes, that he was right, that support was the easiest role. But what a lot of people aren't taking into account is the fact that he is an excellent player. So there is no role. I'm not even the best player, and there's multiple characters in each role. I'm a flex player. So if I have to play DPS, there are numerous DPS players that I fully understand for different situations. It's not even like I just have one or two. I have numerous that I've learned, depending upon what the situation is, to be able to adapt and overcome, because ultimately I want to win. So I don't care how hard a role is. I will go into quick play for a week straight and do nothing but learn that role. I will sit in the practice range over and over again, watch tips and tricks videos, whatever, for that particular character. Same thing with being a tank. I didn't like being a tank. But last season, I felt like I reached my plateau at Plat 1 and my skill ceiling, because I was trying to just be a healer. And if I'm getting bad tanks constantly, or people that don't want to play tank, and that was always the last role that was being picked, everybody would immediately load in and pick DPS. Then people would see we had too many DPS and they go, oh, well, I'll be a healer. And there's always like this one guy that goes, well, I guess I'll go tank because we don't have one. And the tank would get absolutely demolished by the enemy team's tanks that seem like they actually enjoy tanking. And now that I've started tanking, I've noticed that I have a lot more control over the match. I play Thor a lot of times, and Thor is extremely scary when he knows what he's doing. I see people immediately start spending all their time trying to focus on me, and I delete the team, and then I start pushing back toward their spawn. And a lot of times they spend more time in their spawn just trying to delete me than they do even getting to the point to begin with. And then even if they do delete me, by the time that they've actually gotten to the point, I'm already back and I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So God forbid there's actually another tank on my team that knows what he's doing as well. We just kind of, obliterate everybody. So that's why I've started to kind of see that it is hard to, just like with what Necros was saying, it's very hard to carry as a support, because you can heal and heal and heal all day long. But if your teammates are just absolutely terrible at the game, no offense to anyone that is terrible, that's just where you are. And we're all terrible to someone. There's people who might look at me and go, oh, you're terrible. I'm like, okay, cool. But the thing is that you should be trying to progress and learn more every single day. But the point I'm making is that if the enemy team is not terrible and your teammates are terrible, you can heal them to the moon and back. It does not matter. They're still going to get diffed every single time. So it is what it is, right? And, like I said, I do think that it's interesting that Necros brought up EOMM, because like I said, there's just so many creators that they don't talk about it at all. And if I'm wrong, if there's some really big creators that really have talked about it and went into detail about it, let me know in the comments, because like I said, I don't watch every content creator, but I just know that whenever I've made videos in the past, there's always been this group of people that fully believe it and they go, I've experienced it, I've seen it. And then there's a lot of people that they say, well, I didn't realize it at first, I didn't pay any attention at first, but now I'm starting to see it more and more and starting to understand that it really is a thing. And then you have this other group of people that they're just kind of like, skill issue, it's just you. And these are the same people that'll say, well, I have 3 alt accounts, and it's always a situation where their alt account is like way higher than their normal account. I'm like, if you don't see an issue there, I don't, and that's another thing too. Let me know in the comments, like, any of you that have alt accounts, is your alt account higher than your normal account? Because one of the next videos that I'm going to be doing is, and I might feature some of those comments in it, is I'm going to be creating my first alt account. I'm going to do a playthrough and a run through on ranked and just kind of see if it is a lot easier to climb once you have an alt account versus if you're just always playing on your main account. And I'll probably end up doing the same thing too with console and PC. I'll be doing a run pretty soon on my console to see what it's like what the lobbies are, because there's a lot of people that go back and forth with that as well. They're constantly saying whatever rank you are on, console, you might as well take away two ranks to account for the difference in PC with skill being higher and stuff. And I can't account to that because I haven't ever spent any time playing on console. So I can't say if the lobbies are harder or easier or whatever the case is. And it's the same thing with alt accounts. I can't say that until I actually do it, which I will be doing soon, but I haven't done it yet. So I can't say. It could just be identical once you go in. But a lot of people like to talk about that with smurfing. They brought that up with Necros. They said, well, he didn't do it on his main. And the thing is I don't know how he would have done that on his main, because if you're already in the highest rank, then what is the point? I mean, I guess you could have just skipped the lower tiers or something, but he's already at that rank. So like that's what he would have been able to do on his main account that he plays on with like DPS or whatever he normally mains. So, but like I said, I was really interested to see him bringing up EOMM. I think that it's a lot easier to see it when you are playing something that you feel like you can't carry as hard on. You really do start to see that you start to get these teammates that just have no idea what they're doing, and it really makes you wonder how in the hell did they get to the rank that they're at. There's just no way. And I really do think that if you just play enough, and a lot of people, like I said, I hear this all the time in comments. They basically say, well, I just treat it like a lottery or like gambling or something, where, if I start to lose too many matches, whether it's 1 or 2 or whatever their number is, I get off for the day and I don't come back, or I switch over to an alt account or whatever. And I've never been able to do that. I'm extremely hard-headed. I usually assume that when I'm losing matches that it's something that I'm doing and that I could do something better. So the next game I say, well, I'll try this, I'll try that. I'll go back and look at the VODs and see where I got eliminated at, and I will try to do things differently, etc. But with EOMM, sometimes it just makes it to where the likelihood of you winning is, like 1 to 2% chance. And there's numerous factors that go into it. It's not always just we're going to give you bad teammates. Sometimes they just give you a lot of teammates that don't synergize well. Like if you're all support players, they might say, well, you know what? Let's just put all support players on a team against people that are extremely balanced, where they have 2 really strong supports, 2 really strong DPS, and 2 really strong tanks, which is just usually going to be a formula for you to lose. So there's, like I said, there's multiple things that go into it. It's not just as simple as saying, oh, we're just going to be bad teammates. what does that really look like? And it's not always, maybe sometimes you're the bad teammate being put up against people that are just far better than you, whatever the case is. So it's not always a one-sided thing. But once again, I'm going to start wrapping this video up because we're coming up on the 20-minute mark here. But I do want to know what you all think about the fact that Necros numerous times, I lost count, and I only watched maybe like 30 to 40 minutes of this stream. And it was just, I randomly just selected a spot. I'm pretty sure that's not the only time that he was talking about it. But the fact that he brought up EOMM, and I know there's a lot of people that watch him that also kind of feel like that's not a thing, that it's just a skill issue and this conspiracy theory that a lot of people talk about. But now that he's starting to talk about it, even though it was because he was in a position that he wasn't as comfortable in as he is normally. But nonetheless, though, what do you all think about it? Do you still think that it's just something that people say when they're getting diffed? Do you think that it's real, and some people are just now kind of waking up to it and starting to acknowledge it now that they're starting to have to deal with it more, whatever the case is? And I also want to add too, if you're not part of the Discord, join the Discord. We're coming up on 500 people in there. We have a really, really cool, chill community. There is no toxicity, no hate in there. If anyone joins and they do have anything like that going on, we show them where the door is immediately. We do community events. I had a stream just a couple nights ago, or was the night before last, where we did community games all night long. And basically that's just where we do versus matches against each other, and we keep swapping out people on the teams and stuff to make it fair. But I had an excellent time doing that. Anybody that was there, I really appreciated you. I had a great time doing it. But like I said, if you're just looking to talk about Marvel Rivals, learn tips and tricks, we have a lot of coaches in there. None of that is paid or anything. It's all just people that are different skill levels. We have extremely high skilled players that love just helping out people and just talking. We regularly hold stages that I will turn into videos pretty soon here. I already have one that's recorded from yesterday that we had, where we, the stage is just where we allow people to get up and talk on Discord and tell their experiences and things that they would change or like change. And like I said, then we usually end it where everybody just kind of talks together and they share tips and tricks. And, there's always people that are looking to play with each other. We have console players, we have PC players. They're always in the LFG, whether it's they're doing, community games and stuff like that, or party games, whatever, and then they're actually playing ranked or just quick play, whatever the case is. We also have a self-promotion part of the Discord as well. So if you also are a content creator who's trying to get your content out there or meet other like-minded people, if you do art or anything, we have a section for all of that. So I definitely would recommend joining it. Like I said, it's on my main page. Like if you go to the actual channel page, you look next to my logo, you'll see where it says more info. Click the more info and you will see the links to the Discord. So just click that, join up. We'd love to have you, and hopefully we'll see more of you there pretty soon. So, but like I said, this is all I have for this video. Don't forget, call your mother, text her tomorrow. If you actually live with her or you live close to her, make her breakfast, take her out to breakfast, get her a card, make her a card. Just let her know that you love her and you appreciate her. But that's all I have for this video, though. Father Dark, and I'm out. I'll catch you on the next one.